12th. We are on Zoom as well, and we do have some members that are joining us from Zoom.
Hi, Kim. Can't hear you.
Oh, we had this problem last time.
John Duggan will be a voting member for today's meeting.
Hi.
Oh, David's in there. We should kick him out.
Okay,
He's on vacation.
Hopefully someplace warmer.
our first item is a public comment. And do we have any public comment?
No hands raised online.
Okay, we're going to move on then to,
Here's Andy. Now we're super cool.
we have, so the assistant town manager wasn't able to join us. Kim Grant, the energy and sustainability manager, will give us an update on what things are transpiring out there.
Sure. Hi, everyone. So I saw the photo of the charging station at Depot Square that one of you shared. So that was one of the updates. So, that's under construction. So the project cost to the town was only $9,000. The project would likely have cost over $200,000 without incentives. So
Wow.
we got a great deal on that. Then for continuing EV charging stations for both the Nauset Beach project and 139 Main, they're both underway. The Nauset Beach project pole has been set, and the 139 Main Street pole was started yesterday. Another update that the assistant town manager provided me is on the climate action plan. They will have quotes back from vendors tomorrow. They requested quotes from 3 vendors, KLA, Weston and Sampson, and VHB. And he expects to have a vendor contracted by the end of February, and will share a timeline with the committee when it's available. So those are the updates that he provided.
Okay.
Kim, are there any updates on the solar projects?
No,
Well, I hate to sound impatient. I don't know if there is any way to put pressure on the vendor, because this is really a case where time is money. Every month that we miss is like 1 month of, I don't know how many thousands of dollars of free electricity. So I don't know if, I'm sure you guys are doing your best, but is there anything that can be done to try to make the contractor act a little bit faster?
that's something we'd have to address with Mark Reel.
Yeah, this is at the time that is the most complex for all of the various permitting, to include being able to get, making sure that we're able to connect. So the ball is probably in a lot, there's other folks' support right now, but we want to make sure it stays moving forward.
Yeah.
I did have a question on, do we know when the next Green Community Grant results will be released?
I believe Laura Selma was hoping to hear something this month.
Okay. Thank you.
You're
Do we
welcome.
have an application in?
Yes, you sent one in the fall.
Okay.
What was the amount that we requested, if you recall?
I don't recall off the top of my head now.
Okay. Are there any other questions for the Energy and Sustainability Manager from the board? Okay, thank you very much, Kim, appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We do need an alternate for the Cape Light Compact board. So maybe Mark can talk to people.
Well, the way I remember that issue, David, is that it had to go through like the normal nomination process. So people had to basically apply for it directly through the town website, and then the select board will select a candidate. I don't know if we have any say in nominating someone or whatever. Is that correct?
Well, for me, it was pretty, I don't think there was a long process. So if that's the case, then maybe we should ask for volunteers in some public forum or something, because I haven't heard anything happening.
Yeah.
If any of the members of the committee are interested,
Yes, that's, yep, I was gonna mention
or the
that
public,
next.
because there are some folks, potentially maybe there's some folks in OCAN that might be interested in participating on that.
Can you briefly remind us of the responsibilities of the role, David?
So the actual official responsibilities are literally to act as a backup for the member. And, I was the backup for Martin, and now Martin has resigned, so I am the Orleans town representative on the board. So most alternates do very little. They don't go to meetings. They only spring into action when they're needed. That being said, a few alternates, particularly myself and the alternate from Eastham, they went to almost all the meetings, and they were pretty active. But most alternates are not that active, so you literally, could go to whatever meetings you'd like to, plus you have to show up if the regular member is unavailable.
But it's a confirmed appointment through the select board.
That's what I understand.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, as a confirmed
I mean, it's
appointment through the
ceremonial,
select.
yeah,
Yep,
mostly.
but there's not, I did mention it to Molly a few months ago, but, nothing has come about since then. But going to a few meetings without an alternate named, I decided just to bring it up now.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Our next item is an update from OCAN.
Yes, hi, thank you for asking. This is Tessa English, representing New Orleans Climate Action Committee. And pleased to say that we're going to support a lifetime learning class that's going to run April 30th and May 7th on the topic of freshwater, a vital resource. And I don't think anybody would argue that here, but freshwater is a vital resource. We can't live without it. Here's the description. Lately, water dynamics have been spinning wildly. Areas that used to have plenty do not have anymore, and areas are inundated. This makes the situation one that we'll take a close look at and try to determine rainfall patterns and then explore wastewater recycling in order to alleviate shortages. So far, I don't have information what the topics are going to be for each of the two classes, April 30th and May 7th, but we're looking forward to that. Secondly, we've been talking about a next large group climate action impact network. We're looking at April 9th to gather people again. I have to poll to be sure that's a good date. But that's what we're working with, and at the December meeting, one of the things we did was to ask what are the needs of the organizations and groups, committees, and so forth that are participating, and three major areas, clusters. One was undoubtedly fundraising. Second was how to get the message out what are the best strategies for reaching people, educating people, what are best practices. And the third is this volunteer recruitment. We decided we're going to focus on one of those. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the education, get the message out. And we're looking to coordinate with Amanda Converse on what she's doing through the Public Information Office. So that's going to be the focus, I think, of that meeting. And we look forward to having those of you who usually join us to be there again.
That's what you say, the two lifetime learning are April 30th and May 2?
May
Or May 7th?
May 7th.
I'm so sorry. April 30th and May 7th.
7th, okay.
Who is the presenter or the presenters for the lifetime learning class?
Goodwin,
Sorry?
Stu
Oh, yeah.
Goodwin, S-T-E-W,
Yeah.
Goodwin.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. Our next item is entitled Budget Support for Energy Navigator Program. And there were two documents that were in the supporting documents for this. One is a draft of a memo through the assistant town manager to the town manager to raise this as an issue with them about how we get support, how we structure support for the Energy Navigator program. And I'd like to start with the documents I got, which were expressing what the needs were, and then we can come back to the memo and what that all has in it. So the second document, looks at it from where is the need. It outlines a variety of things like street banners, signage, printed material, mailings, signs, website and phone fees, branding and advertising, and expendable supplies. And I'd like to kick that off by just saying that, from my experience, our committee does not have a budget. We are pretty much, going to be coming back, no doubt, coming back to either the town manager's office for anything that's needed. So that's why I'm thinking that this needs to be directing back to the assistant town manager, saying, look, okay, if we want to support this program, the Energy Navigator program, which hits to one of our at least two of our charges to educate the public, we needed to figure out how we would do that. What's the mechanism to do that?
Can I chime in here for the process? Some of the things that you have listed, the expenses, might be absorbed through our town already puts out those kinds of items. So I would encourage you to sit down with Mark and Amanda to refine this and to figure out what the town can pay for. The other thing is that boards and committees do have a budget that's tucked into the town manager's budget. So that's the other reason to talk to them, because to go to town meeting with a $10,000 ask when it may not be nearly that much. So to separate out the things that we don't internally produce, like banners, if you want to do banners, but the social media time and all that, it's a great campaign. But I just think we should double check the line item, and soon, because we're nailing that down.
So
it sounds like there are some of these things that, there's some of these things that we can simply go to town staff, whatever, administration, and say, and make a request, and they can fund it?
Well, not fund it, they can execute. One of the things we're trying to do is, remember, we have a public voice, an office that is in charge of all communications. All outgoing communications go through Amanda at this point. So we have to coordinate what you want to accomplish
Right.
through the mechanisms that we already have. And some of them may already be funded, so you don't have to have a separate expense, which would lower your ask.
No, but to get what we want, to get what we need to have paid for, one category is we can go to Amanda, or Amanda and Mark.
But I don't know what the town funds can be used for.
No, I'm not
because
saying
they're
that we
in-house.
know now which
Right.
categories they'll be, but there, it sounds like you're talking about, there are 3 buckets. And these things, some of them would fit into the bucket of what the town can do.
Can produce without
Can produce.
additional cost.
We just ask for,
The other bucket will be
The
your
second-
committee money through
right,
the
which
town
we need
manager's
to,
office.
which we need to learn about.
Right.
And the third is, and anything else we have to go to town meeting for? Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, it depends, and that's why we need to talk to
Yeah.
Mark and Kim, because I'm not sure, right now, we're on a we're on a very limited budget. And so, since you don't have a standing line item in the budget, this ask may be small enough to be eaten by different departments, or it may require to be part of the override.
We really have no, I mean.
That's right.
We don't really have a mechanism to do any
That's
of
right.
this. We can't produce purchase orders or.
No.
So all that has to happen on the town staff side. But we do need to make sure that they're aware of what things we think are needed
Yes,
and when we think they're needed, and enough detail so that, it's not a burden on them to be able to procure.
and think of yourselves, you're producing programming, essentially, right? You're doing
Yeah.
educational outreach. So the other departments, recreation, the cultural district, the chamber, we give X amount of money to extend those messages that are coming out of town hall. You're not an orphan. You just haven't enrolled in kindergarten yet about how to do this.
So
right?
the first thing we do is sit down and ask for a meeting with Mark and Amanda.
Yes.
Saying, here's what we have in mind.
Yes,
Help us to know how to do it.
and I would do it as soon as you possibly can.
That was kind of the impression I had personally when I read that. First of all, it's $10,000 sounded like a little bit of a high number.
Yeah.
Secondly, it appeared to be like a totally external group who was doing this and doing a budget, whereas in fact, there may be a lot of duplication because printing materials, maybe we can get some of that done by town facilities, mailings, etc. So some of these things, I thought that, would make sense if it was a totally external body doing this. And maybe the best way to do is to make that number a lot smaller so they can go under the radar.
Oh, just go with your ask. Don't
Yeah.
judge it yet, just
We just
go
need to
with the
figure out
ask.
what it is we need, what's needed and when, so
Yeah.
that we can.
Yeah,
Okay.
it'll get refined by itself as you move along the process.
Yep.
Yeah.
There was one item that was discussed in one of the emails that talked about Mass Energize. And I went and looked at their website and I think that's something, and I did put it into the memo, but I think that's something we should explore. I'm not 100% convinced that it's what we should be doing, but Mass Energize, from what it seems to me, they come to the same issue of how do we reach out to people and run effective campaigns to target them for the message. What kind of things should you be doing with your home to reduce your carbon footprint? So I went and I saw there was a lot of towns that are in this, but they're almost all in the Boston area. Although some were a little further away. I didn't see any from the Cape. But they said, when you read through what it is they do, they're saying is what they want to do is partner with municipalities to help craft and campaigns to reach out to your residential population. So I think we need a lot more investigation into this, but I think that was something you had indicated was something that might be something that would be of value. And like I said, their cost was roughly $1,000 a year, and they also ran some annual conference or get together that to attend you had to pay to go to that too. But
This
May I add,
Martin, would you just identify yourself?
Sure.
Yourself for the,
I'm Martin Chulik. I'm working with the Energy Navigators program. The Mass Energize program came to us through the Cape Cod Climate Collaborative. Is that right? 5 Cs. It's now based at the Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce. They sponsored a Zoom meeting with the staff, several staff from Mass Energize last week. So it came on very suddenly. None of us had ever heard of this before. We listened to their Zoom. It was about an hour. I've reached out back to the Chamber of Commerce to find out if they have plans to be involved. I haven't heard back from them. But I did take the opportunity today to call the city of Newburyport. I spoke to their city energy manager. She extends greetings to Kim Grant, who I understand is an energy manager that participates in monthly meetings with this group of energy managers. And I asked her, tell me about your experience with Mass Energize. They've been working with Mass Energize for 4+ years, maybe 5 years. Her comments were very proactive, on the ball, great to work with, reliable, can come and talk at table events, local events, open to new ideas. They've just had a great experience with them, very reliable, and they've helped tremendously with energy education in their community. And I just picked that one out of random. So there's probably, I don't know, what did you see the number? There's probably 20 or 30, maybe Kim knows. Do you know how many towns are involved with Mass Energize, Kim?
No, I do not.
Okay, well,
Yeah, when you go to their website,
Yeah.
it'll lead you down,
yeah,
and what you do see is that all of the towns that participate, they have kind of a standard format for their website,
right.
for a way of being able to identify or advertise upcoming events, access to resources.
Right, and they base their annual fee on the number of households in the community. So ours is, I understand, to be 1,000. I spoke to several staff members last week. $1,000, that's not bad. Then the conference is in somewhere near Boston.
Bentley University, yeah.
What's that?
Is it,
Bentley?
Bentley campus.
Bentley, yeah, Bentley University.
Is that Needham, I think?
Yeah, and then they talked about a program called MailChimp that does survey
Yes.
work, and I said, well, maybe the town already has that, I don't
Yes.
know. You
Yeah,
do?
we can do, but the
Okay.
town can do a survey.
So that saves us some money right there. But the information we have, which is really recent, is that there's a good opportunity to work with them. That's one of our needs for the Energy Navigator program, is to have that kind of website and materials and resources.
Yeah. Currently, you have a website, but this would
Yeah.
supplant that.
And we would tie it into the town website with Amanda, or however that's done, I
It
don't
would
know.
be a
I
link.
just-
It would be a link at best.
Yeah,
Yeah,
link.
link,
I'm just
okay,
not
whatever.
sure in terms of town resources for any private group where we stand with, I just want to,
Yeah,
or if we're a sanctioned partnership and we can do this, great.
yeah,
I'm not sure that we've had that official okay at this point.
sure.
Uh,
so we're not,
Nobody's
we're not
making commitments
talking, we're not talking about town resources for Mass Energize.
Setting up a survey, if it's, depending on who's gathering the information, if it's coming back to town because town wants the survey done, or if it's originating with their program and we're not an official member, is where it gets a little dicey. So, and believe me, I've just come from a conversation
Yeah,
about,
yeah.
you know, what resources are the towns and depending on who the
Well,
partners are.
to the extent that we can get resources from within the town, that would reduce, you know, if we wouldn't need Mass Energize for that.
Right.
But there may
but
be a
whatever
way
they
of setting
do-
it up. This should go on the conversation list with Mark,
That's
Yeah.
right.
because there may be a way of setting it up. The way, you know, the Conservation Trust works hand in glove with the town, for the Conservation Commission and town properties. It's a very close mutual relationship and resources are shared. We just don't have that status officially yet, and so until we have that status.
By we, you mean energy
town.
navigators?
The town, in terms of energy navigators in the town. I
Okay.
need something official
That's right.
to be done so that the resources are used without challenge.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah, so pretty much, for us, I think, it's something that the Energy and Climate Action Committee needs.
Right.
And the Energy Navigators essentially becomes the conduit to actually do the work, but,
Yeah, we're not independent, we're with E ECAC.
Yeah, and again, I just need that to be official somewhere, so when the public asks,
That's right.
what's this group? We can say, here was the process that this group became the extension of this group.
Right.
To me, this sounds like another issue to discuss with Mark Ray.
Yes,
yes.
If Mark is more comfortable with what Mass Energized brings to the town, and we have his support,
Yeah.
we can,
it's a wraparound group.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
just,
Then
it's
it will give a lot
great.
more support to this memo.
Anyway, it's on there, I think we need, that we should bore in more on what their capabilities are, and what's the benefit to the town to have us involved with that. Anyway, so that's why it's not on the memo I jotted together, I didn't really say that we should do this, I'm just saying we should explore it at this point, but.
It, Mr. Chair, would help if you do, as an agenda item, make a vote, a recommendation that will help in terms of political action.
Yeah,
May I share some material with committee?
Sure.
Okay.
yeah, so, so that should be something that we
want
would
you to
accomplish
have
over
to
the next 30 days.
I know.
Yeah.
At the next meeting, we can come back and, and really get a discussion going about,
You guys know.
how would this benefit us? Or not.
Hakeem, you haven't seen that one.
No, I haven't.
Thank you.
So the electricity prices in U piece is one of our recent publications, and this is one of many in our stock. And this is an example of what we need printed.
Oh, that's easy.
We
that one-
we are printing these on our home printers for distribution today.
Yeah, we should go.
So
We'll
Yeah,
fix that.
that's a.
the
that's a
second,
no-brainer.
the second sheet, and I'm happy to say, this is from the town assessor's database. And I share that simply to show where we are as a town as far as the different sources of primary fuels and HVAC systems. And we have data that says about 28% of the households have participated in Cape Light Compact energy assessments over a 10 or 12-year period. Up to-
That's very low.
That's very low,
Yeah.
that's right. So we have a lot of opportunity with the electric and gas and oil homes that are in our community, and that's what we want to address. And I'll leave it there, and thank you, Andrea, for your guidance.
No, Martin, I have to ask, the logos at the top of this,
Yeah,
was that just somebody pasted them there?
that's correct.
Great, okay, but this is the kind of thing that will get us in trouble?
Yep, and
So-
I've shared that with John.
Great.
This hasn't been sent out like this.
Excellent.
That's
So-
just the
So you're
latest.
saying without sign off from the town, we should take that logo off?
Absolutely.
Yeah, until we have the logo
Yeah,
approved.
and now we've got the town is switching over to a new branding system. There's going to be a look, very different look when it's a town document.
Right.
So we want that. We
Yeah.
want that. We want, this is us, right? The
That's
Energy
right.
Navigators is us.
That's right.
So we just have to figure out how to make it happen.
Yeah, but I'm just showing you as
Yeah.
an example of the type of product that we're
No, it's great.
distributing to
Yeah.
homeowners.
Yeah, let me add to that, because for those who have not been part of the Energy Navigators sessions at the senior center or farmer's market
Right.
or Ace Hardware, that we created a bunch of individual one-pagers on specific separate topics.
Yeah.
And then, at some point, Martin, you were the one who put this together, right?
I did.
Yeah. At some point, Martin combined these things into this two-pager, which I find extremely helpful.
Yeah, the information,
And
yes.
basically, when we meet someone at one of our Energy Navigators tables and at one of our locations, we say, look, if they've got a question, then this helps point, we can hand them this, to
Yeah.
point to resources to answer the question. If they don't have a question, then we sort of lead by saying home energy assessment, plan for the future with replacing your furnace, think about solar and community solar, blah, blah, blah. We kind of hit them on all of those things. This is sort of a quick summary of those various topics that are the
That's
big
right.
topics that we come
Oh,
across.
it's a great resource
So
guide.
it's a really nice
Yeah,
two-page, one-sheet thing that Martin has put together.
you just have to figure out the standing of the Energy Navigators officially with the town.
Right, no,
That's it.
Yeah.
Right.
Then
So
everything will flow.
the committee has said we are sponsoring the
Yeah.
Energy Navigators. But really
The
should
rest
not
of
be.
that conversation
Needs
needs to
to go
happen
on,
laterally,
yes.
right.
And does the same apply to the Cape Life Compact logo?
We have approval for that. We sent this document for their review,
And they endorsed it?
yes.
Okay.
So I have a question, just a style sheet question, because it's gonna come up. If Orleans puts this out, and we would absolutely have the Energy Navigators logo and the Compact logo, will the Compact get offended if it's in the,
No, we sent that to Cape Light Compact for review and approval.
and they're good?
They're good. And we have a relationship with Cape Light Compact.
Right.
That, you know,
So does the town.
yeah, sure.
Right.
But we're referring people to them. They're helping us with materials.
So for the town's point of view, this is public-private. What is the,
There's no private,
there's no private in
No
the
private.
Energy Navigators?
no,
Where is home for the?
right here.
So you are, this committee
We're
is the
sponsoring them.
only sponsor of
Yep.
the
It's,
energy?
it's a group of volunteers, but
There's
are
an
not
East
all
End.
from our committee.
That's right.
But that are supported by the committee, because the committee approves.
But does Eastham have some Energy Navigators?
They have been kind of saddled up with us, but they haven't.
But
They-
they're,
There's only 2 individuals. We have 11.
Eastham as a town has not acted on Energy Navigators to
Not that
adopt
I'm aware
them.
of.
Great, so you could be a relationship with a set of volunteers
Right.
that's, excellent. I just need to understand
And
and follow.
Truro is also coming to our meetings on occasion because they're interested.
And the wider we can make this, the better.
Amen.
You know, so,
Amen.
but I just want to do it in a way that there's no blowback, so you can proceed with your work and not get hung up in the administration of it, if that
Right.
makes sense.
Absolutely makes sense. Absolutely.
Because if we grow this large enough, we can then approach Eastham or Truro to officially, or Wellfleet or Brewster, anybody, and say, organize your volunteers.
Well, we're ahead of you on that. In
Great,
fact, it started out to be Cape Light Compact and Orleans and Eastham. That was the three.
that's what I
things.
remember hearing
And
about, yeah.
Eastham just is, 2 other people are participating and being incredibly helpful and knowledgeable, but as a town, they're not at the same place we are in doing this, but we're still all working together.
Well, they've been working on their climate action plan.
Right.
And we, just for your information also, we bring in presenters to work with our volunteers,
Great,
train them, bring them up
that's
to
right, the
speed.
training, yeah,
Yeah,
great.
And we welcome more navigators. by the way.
absolutely.
But the other advantage is, when you have those trainings, if we could get them on Zoom and open them to the public, you know, we're going to give you a wider base once you're part of the team,
Right,
right? I mean, there may be a way to really work this out very nicely.
right. Wonderful.
Martin, I don't want to get into the weeds on this table, but the middle one, table 2, it says electric, 652, so that means 652 households, electric is their primary source of heat?
Well, go back to table 1.
Yeah.
That's the primary fuel. Table 2 is HVAC. So there's 2 different columns of data.
Yeah.
So you'd think they would be close in numbers. But the HVAC column is much less filled in, if you will,
Right.
than the primary fuel.
Yeah, because I know the 104 number for electric heat pumps is way, way low, because I think I know that many people myself that have heat pumps in Orleans, and there's got to be a lot more than that.
Well, one of the things this doesn't do is, I mean, like I've got a propane-fired furnace and 4 mini-splits heat pumps in
Yeah.
bedrooms. This doesn't spell out, you know, if you've got both sources, more than one source of fuel,
Right.
Exactly,
what does it tell you? It doesn't tell us.
right.
And they, a lot of this is self-reported, when they do an initial tax assessment or something. So like probably anything installed in the last 10 years is not going to be reflected in these numbers, so.
Well, Brad told me that he personally visits homes each year, and he has 600 homes to visit this year.
Right.
But I think most of his assessment is from an exterior point.
Oh, no, he's doing inside.
He does inside too?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, okay.
Yeah.
And, he recognizes there's limitations on this data. But I think you have to look at it as an aggregate. What does it, rather than individual.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
When you can get it.
The one thing I looked at that kind of caught my eye on this sheet was the HVAC oil, over 2,000, which,
Yeah,
the fire department also tracks tank permits.
yeah,
But if we have 2,000 oil tanks out there, who knows what kind of condition they're in? Obviously, that represents a challenge for us
yeah.
from a leaking tank perspective, as well as the
Right.
issue of burning carbon.
Yeah, and table 1, oil 2105, table 3, oil 2060, so it's pretty close. So that's an indication it's a pretty strong number. You have confidence in that, right?
Yeah. Okay.
I'm scared of the no heat line item.
Those are cottages, they're called cottages.
You could double check that number because of the double hull tanks that are required now. The health department may have, because they're the ones certifying them, I believe.
I think it's the fire department.
It might be the fire
Yeah,
department, but,
I had one put in,
and the fire department came?
yes.
Well, that's just,
Yeah.
you could track that number.
Okay. So I'm proposing to send the memo that I have, which is really just identifies why the need is there, identifies the kind of things that are in the description of what things you think you need, and to kind of get the discussion started with the assistant town manager, and then like I said, I did have a note in here, or a sentence in here about that we should look at the Mass Energized program and come back on that. To see how, if we thought it would be of assistance, and where should we stand relative to that?
Well, and this memo basically only asks for a meeting, right?
Yeah, that's all it really does.
But do we need that to get a meeting with Mark and Amanda?
No, but
What-
I think what it does is it kind of just lays out that we've got these requirements. I know that when the Energy Navigators first started, there was one taken out of pocket by the people that volunteered to be part of it, and we're not able to reimburse them. So it just kind of says, look, there's a requirement here. Let's get the meeting on it and figure out how we provide support to that program.
I think it's good to have something in writing, because it also paves the way for the other issue, when we have to elevate the discussion and try to see how we can, better fund and support the navigators with town resources.
Because I thought the meeting was for that budget.
Exactly. Well,
And what occurs to me is maybe we have the meeting with Mark and Amanda, and after that, then we know how to frame the letter, the official letter to the town.
I
They
guess-
can tell us what it should say, where it should go, what we should ask for.
I think what Andrea is saying and what I'm hearing is that the committee endorsement will help Mark and Amanda move on it. Is that
Yes,
Yep.
but also, again, I'm thinking about other organizations that have relationships with, you know, if this is gonna be a volunteer group that's based in the town, that's an adjunct or somehow connected to this body, that's very different than it's an entity that's in a partnership with the town. And that's what I need you to be clear on first. The other thing is, you're not a granting organization,
Right.
so you can't give out money.
No, that we don't have.
We're not asking for that.
Right, but supplies to execute your mission that is gonna be facilitated by this relationship. I just need you to get all of that clear before any language comes before the select board or any other entity. So we can get it done, we just have to figure out how.
Yeah, and that's where the communication with Mark
Yeah.
would be very, very helpful. Because not only would we get his support, but also his guidance on how to move forward.
But also, you have a wonderful problem, and I'm looking at the other committees or boards in town that have volunteers as a group, but who are not on the committee. We may need a different structure, where it's like the Friends of the Library. I mean, the library is a separate entity, there's the Board of Trustees of the library, they have elected, not appointed officials, I don't think that matters, and the OCP, the Cultural District is the same thing. They have a group of volunteers that carries out their projects, and the volunteers report back to the committee, and they need funding for signs and brochures and newsletters, so I just need it to go through channels.
Well,
So Andrew, what I'm hearing is we shouldn't send this letter as it is to the
I
select
would
board.
have the,
Yeah,
have
this
the
is-
conversation with
This
Mark
doesn't
Amanda
get to the
first.
select board, it
Right.
just goes to the
So-
town manager.
Sorry?
This doesn't go any further than, it goes to the assistant town manager, or through assistant town manager, at that level.
But
But
you're
but
suggesting we shouldn't even
you
send
may
this
be
to him.
rewriting it.
Yeah, that's
I would
Yeah.
give it to him as part of the material, send it ahead, and put it on your agenda with him.
Yeah.
But you may be rewriting it and.
Should we give it to him simply as a draft and then work
Yeah.
with
to-
him on it?
Well, he's
and
already-
say
he already
it's on
has
the
it as a
agenda.
draft.
Right, right.
But,
But when you do schedule that, I would like to just learn, listen and learn how to make this happen.
Okay, so
Okay.
I guess the work is done.
I'm just gonna, I'll send it off tomorrow,
Just
and
having
I'm
to try
sorry,
to
I'm
set up
sorry.
we'll
the
see what
meeting.
kind of time we can
I'm
set.
sorry, I don't agree that we should send this yet.
It's
He's
sent
got-
already.
No,
No,
he's got
well,
a draft.
it's a draft.
He's got a draft. But there's been no proposal to approve the, sending this letter as it is. And I would vote against it, because I think we should talk to him about the draft first.
Yeah, this is semantic, I mean,
Well, no, the point is.
yeah, the main thing is to set up the meeting, yeah.
Right, and we're gonna be doing that.
Yeah, that's the last
But
line.
we have not, as a committee, approved that letter.
No, no, and so that's, you know, for the committee to decide if they want to send this or not, but that's what we need conversation with the assistant town manager, I think.
Yep.
Andrew, did you advise that we should put forth a motion that we're supporting the Energy Navigators and requests for their funding, just as a show of support of the committee, or?
We've already adopted the Energy Navigators, right?
Yeah,
In
we've
the
already
previous
voted on
thing.
that.
So at this point, you're exploring with the town manager how to get these resources to something you've already executed. When you have a plan of how to get that, I would vote on that plan. And then we can take it to the next step, whether it goes into the annual meeting budget or it comes out of other budgets at this point.
And just to be clear, this would be to get town support for resources that have already been spent out of pocket by the navigators so that
No.
it becomes more
No.
sustainable.
No,
No,
no. And that's
Anything
not
spent
what the
is-
budget, the
no,
2027
no.
budget is for.
But so far, we've been doing this basically on our own dime, correct?
Yes,
We have.
Yeah.
as all other volunteer board and committees do. I mean, it depends on the level, but no, this is not reimbursement at this point.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about getting money back. What I'm saying is, in order to maintain the sustainability of this effort, we are at the stage where we need the town's support with the town's resources, because so far it's just been on the volunteers' budget.
And because there's public money being spent,
Yes,
there are hoops to get
I
those
understand.
resources.
and that's why we have this meeting with the assistant.
That's right. But to Andy's question, it's not yet time. What I would be doing to work with this system is to now have that conversation, figure out the mechanics of how to execute this, because even the semantics about, are the energy navigators a town volunteer group? I mean, that's very different. If you're funding a town volunteer group, or you're funding resources for the group to execute its work, that's very different than your group needs money to hand over to an outside organization, or not organization, or a group of loose volunteers. There's liability here and public money at stake. It needs to be done correctly.
So it sounds like we can boil it down to a simple, let's have a meeting to consult the town manager and assistant town manager thing about how to fund the,
The project,
just the requirements that
If
we
you were
have for
gonna
our program.
do this backwards, if you were going to do it completely backwards, and if you said, Energy and Climate Action is creating a volunteer workhorse group called the Energy Navigators, the process would be different because you'd be creating it within Town Action. It's slightly different because this is an entity, non-entity. So it's not clear what this is. If Energy Navigators is just a group of volunteers that you've adopted somehow, where are the rails?
Yeah, they're not gonna reside, they can't reside with the Energy Navigators. They have to be within
Again,
this
this
board
is
at
why we
least.
need, I'm telling you, I was just in a deal with recreation and culture on this. We need the boundaries to be clear, that's all, and they're not.
yeah, well, the thing is, a bunch of navigators are part of this committee, so it's almost like there's two tiers of navigators. There's
But-
those
But
that are
you're doing
already
it
part
as
of the town.
private. You're doing it as private citizens now.
Yes.
That's the difference. And so
Oh, I see what you mean.
that needs to be very, very clear. When I stand up and have an opinion as a select board member because I'm relaying a vote or an action of the select board, that's very different than when I say, personally, this is how I feel about it.
We're doing it as private citizens under the umbrella of the support of ECAC.
But none of us knows what that means. What is that umbrella? Where are the edges of it? What is it entitled that work to? And that you need to clear with the town manager's office.
Just to say, we'll do that.
Yeah,
But every meeting that we have, Energy Navigators, that has at least 4
Yes,
members
you've
of this
been
committee,
doing
we
that
post
well.
it as an
Yeah.
Energy Climate
but
Action
that's
Committee
not
meeting.
because of the navigators. That's because you've got a quorum of your group.
board, yeah.
Yeah.
It wouldn't matter who you're meeting with. My problem is that the entity of the navigators has not been defined. And until it's defined, public resources and staff time needs to be protected. I need those definitions to spend
Okay.
public money or human resources on the effort.
Yeah, I think we're saying something. It's just that there is, we need to build that bridge between
Get
ECAC
the
and the navigators
infrastructure, yeah.
with the assistant of the assistant town manager.
Yeah.
Because he will be helping us knitting it.
Right.
And any request for resources is not gonna be coming from the Energy Navigators. It will be coming from this committee.
Yeah.
Well,
To the
hang on a second.
To the-
This
through
is
the
what
town.
we want Mark to tell us.
Well, I can, you
But
know,
Mark's gonna push back and ask you, what is the definition of an energy navigator? If it's just an Orleans volunteer, then why isn't this, it's an outreach of this board's activity? We're getting hung up in what is the definition
Okay,
of
so
this group.
we need someone official in the town
Yes,
to help guide us to how to define it.
yes.
And we can't go to Mark and say, here's the definition, because we need his help in defining it, or somebody's help in defining it.
Because the energy navigators right now does not, to my knowledge, have its own structure.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of volunteers, very
Well, no.
well-meaning and doing
Okay.
essential work.
And let's stop. We agree that we need a defined structure.
Yes.
We've been working as a structured group.
Ad hoc,
With-
we would say, Roger, ad hoc.
Well, you might
right?
say that, I don't, we created this group that's been working together with OCAN, with
But
this
that's not
committee.
your role, Roger. Your role is to advise the select board.
I'm sorry, no. We meaning Energy Navigators.
Okay,
the
but,
town doesn't know
but
that.
you're sitting here as an appointed board of this town, and your role is to advise, not to create groups or spend money. You have to go through channels to do that. You can spend money once you've gone through the channels. We have the funds available for you to spend.
Okay, but it sounds like you're saying we can't do what we're doing without that structure, and I don't.
You haven't done it officially.
Yeah, we-
You've done it as a partnership of a ghost, an undefined entity. It's a
Okay.
blob right now.
Okay, but can we ask the
Yes.
assistant town manager for his help? Or for the
Yes,
town's
he'll tell
help
you how to
in how to
execute it.
structure it?
Yes,
Okay,
but to think that the Energy Navigators, as a great group of volunteers, has any standing with the town as an entity is false.
okay, I don't think we're claiming that. We need,
But you're asking public
That's
dollars
right.
to be used
We need
for
to
it.
claim it.
And we can't do that. We can't just hand public dollars over to a group of volunteers.
I think
That's
we're
not
only,
the way it works.
I think we're
You'll
only in
get it,
agreement.
you'll get it. We'll get it worked out.
I want to go to Mark
Exactly.
to get his advice about what we should do.
Yes.
That's what
Yes.
we're going around and around
Yes.
saying the same thing. If that's what you mean,
And be
that's our plan.
prepared, what I'm saying is be prepared, because it may have to, there may be that the Energy Navigators with the nice logo and all that may have to be kind of reconstituted with with edges on it, so that we can make the rest of this happen.
Okay.
Get ready for background checks. I'm just kidding.
Anyway, so I'm gonna ask I guess I'll ask the committee if they want to send this letter. This letter to the, through the assistant town manager to town manager, doesn't ask for any money, identifies the need, but no, asks for no money. It suggests that we explore Mass Energize program, but that's all it does. And it recommends that we get a brief meeting to discuss how this can be supported.
Well, in my opinion, I personally don't have any objections at all to this letter, but if it's going to be divisive to the committee, I don't know that it adds sufficient value for the activity at stake that we go through a vote. That's my personal impression. I guess you need a motion.
Do we have a motion to send this memo to the assistant town manager? Okay, we will pass on that.
Although I do think it was a great idea, but.
Okay, moving on to, we'll move on to our next item, which is our review of goal sheets for 2026. So, this is the updated version that
We're fighting the right fight.
came out of the January 13th meeting. Roger looked at the update, provided some updates. Hopefully I got the right version here. You know, last year, we were pretty much focused on the first 7 items. I kind of think we're still there. Some things have become less important, or, depending upon how we look at it. Goal 1, which is building code, with our inability to pass the specialized energy code, that obviously was a big part of that. When I copied it down, we had a lot of discussion about the passive house building performance standard for new municipal construction and for municipally supported affordable housing. So when I wrote goal sheet 1, I based it on that, and I can take a look at 1. This is goal sheet 1. The actions for 26 essentially looks at a timeline to try to bring this to conclusion by the end of the year. It looks at proposing to bring a draft before this committee for next month, to meet with the building inspector, and then to try to get just a feel from the select board whether this is something that they're interested in. we would still need to go to the Affordable Housing Trust and get what they think about this as an idea. And
Can I
look at a potential joint meeting with the
That's where you
Affordable
need to
Housing,
go, yeah.
Select Board, and the Energy Climate. And I kind of saw that being much later in the year, like maybe July, August, September.
I think you've got some political arguments to get through and solutions to pose.
Oh, no doubt.
Well, because you've heard town meeting push back on the perceived expense of building standards. You've heard the discussion with municipal buildings, like the library, of course, it's going to be done to passive house standards when it's done. And we know that when we go to build housing, subsidized housing, that passive house has been too expensive. So to me, it's a non-starter until you've done conversations quietly with the Affordable Housing Trust and you've got a huge hole to fill with public perception about this and a strong case to make about the investment up front serving the use of those investments to the town. But I love that you've got this on here because the Affordable Housing Trust, as a member, can't even support the passive house standard now because they haven't solved the cost of it.
Well, and to me, it comes back to always the same issue. Until we know exactly what is the incremental cost. If it's 1%, it's a no-brainer. If it's 20%, it's an issue. So it's going to be very hard to elevate the conversation until we refine that.
But you need to begin to engage the hearts and minds of your fellow boards because they are not supportive of this action. Intellectually, they get it, but nobody has solved that differential. You need a lot more data, and you've heard the pushback on town floor. This goes nowhere, especially as we don't have, the new fire emergency building will be, I don't know what standards we'll end up with, but certainly this is a long-term conversation that requires grassroots, and as you point out, we pay now or pay later, right?
Yeah, well, it reminds me almost the funding for the solar projects.
Yes.
The $5 million. If we were trying to sell it on the basis of climate change, it was not going to go anywhere.
Right.
But selling it as a value proposition, immediately it became a no-brainer.
And remember, we have in the industry, around Cape Cod, the building industry, we're only beginning to adopt a modular construction to see those gains. And so the other part of this may be a meeting with the Realtors Association or the commercial builders on the Cape. I think you've got to attack this from a longer game plan than just getting to town meeting with something that's going to fail. And I'm a proponent.
Yeah, we're just scratching the surface on this issue, but it lays out a lot of work that has to happen over the course of the year to gather all those facts and to bring them to the various boards.
Can I also recommend that you start picking the brains of people so there are builders who are using or aiming for passive house standards. There's a project right now called Little Lanes. Do you know about this? I would reach out to them. You might want to bring them in and have a conversation or go have coffee with one of them. Nancy James is one, Alan and Fran McLennan, because they're looking at building housing without public subsidy to passive house. I don't know if it's passive house or current, the new special code that we couldn't adopt. But I would do you some research, intimate research with builders about why or why not they're.
And the other folks who are going to need to reach out to is other municipalities that have built passive house municipal structures.
Yeah, and have required it. I would love to see us require it. But then, if we're going to require it, do we have a mechanism to offset in special cases that differential? And that partnership might be through the trust.
Are there not neighboring towns that require that code? I thought we.
I doubt it. I mean, it's.
Well, the approved the specialized energy code, yes,
Yeah.
yes, Eastham, Truro, and Wellfleet.
Wellfleet, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Eastham did their library to Passive House standards years before that code was ever broached.
Yeah, almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
If we keep having winters like this one, it'd make a lot of sense.
So that's what I had for goal one.
So I guess it stays as is, it's just that it will require more, more work for reaching out.
Yeah, I think it's, I mean, this is not something you can pull together
No,
in a short
nobody
period of
expected it.
time, but you can get a start on it, and like I said, I think what we should do is just look at a rough draft of what this might look like for the next meeting, and then can start on the launch into all of the data collection that's gonna be needed to be able to present why this should or should not happen.
Maybe just on the resources required, emphasize the fact that you may need support from other boards to facilitate select board approval or town approval.
Architectural review, planning board, you've got architects on both boards, and they're local architects you might want to bring in and talk to. Andrew Meow serves on architectural review and Old Kings Highway, and he was part of Living Building Challenge, which was beyond.
Andrew, sorry?
Andrew Meow, M-I-A-O, Meow. But Peter Haig, Joy Cumming, we have some architects who are kind of worldwide awake, and we have new design guidelines that don't touch performance. And again, those are living documents that can be updated if we can get this done.
Okay, so goal sheet 2, did not have anything but 2 or 3. But we do have the goals developed, so we probably need to,
Well, they need to be updated,
Yeah.
because this is last year's.
this last year's, and we've, obviously, at least on the renewable piece, we're way down the road, was having gotten the contracts in place for the solar. So we just need to,
Like I said, on the solar, my personal impression is that if there is anything our committee can do to try to push the contractors to deliver sooner rather than later, kind of pains me that every delay just basically postpones our solar revenue.
John, can I ask you for one other exercise? It occurs to me, you hear me arguing kind of loudly, because your goals line up exactly with the select board goals, right? So the select board may have that overarching goal, but your detail is how it's executed. And when you are ready to make the pitch to the select board, to embed our goal into it, in that pitch, would be a strategic way to make the argument.
Just a comment on the goal 2, Andy, as you work on updating that, this one from last year said zero net energy building performance standard. But goal 1 is talking about passive house standard. And so those two things probably ought to get put in sync.
Yeah, net
Okay.
zero, yeah.
Okay, I don't see, where's the zero net energy? I don't see the zero net energy reference in the goal 2.
In 2025 goal statement,
Oh,
the bullet point, the recommendation will include a zero net energy building performance standard.
okay.
Goal 2, I mean, is it not on what you're looking at?
No, I'm looking at the one that John circulated.
It's the 2025 one I
Or
sent
this
out.
is
It's
the
kind
one
of
that John circulated.
Well, I see A, but there's no mention of zero.
Yeah. Hey, I'm
Wait a
looking at
minute.
the one that he just circulated in advance of this meeting.
This is,
You mean today?
yeah.
No, because
couple days
this
ago.
is a few days ago, this is what I thought he sent. This is not the same thing?
Um,
Not that. These are the individual pages with gold sheet,
Oh.
gold pages.
Okay. Did he send?
Yeah, those, I said those were last year's, so.
Right, but you
I
sent
don't
them,
see.
Yeah, I sent them as a format and a reminder of what we had last year.
right, all I'm saying is this one talks about zero net energy
I don't see
for
gold
municipal
too.
projects
Did you
generally.
send it?
I didn't.
And we're,
Well, I
goal
sent-
one,
I-
it's
I sent
building
it-
code applying to
When I
municipal
sent,
projects,
Right.
says
The,
passive house.
I put all of the,
Okay.
I just
and
think
I
those
sent
ought to
out
be
attachments,
I'll
which are,
find that one.
all the 2025 ones.
Yeah,
is
this
a
guy.
Template.
Oh, that's right, it was, he said it earlier.
A separate,
Separate
Yeah,
email
so,
earlier,
it-
yeah.
like I said, it was just went out as a,
Okay. Sorry.
as a template.
Yeah, yeah. You know what he's talking about?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So we'll still need 2 and 3 of the updated. 4, I can remind you, or make sure I got the right one out to you eventually. This is municipal projects efficiency, and,
Yeah, I guess in drafting these, you know, we talked about this at the meeting when we were talking about goals. I had 3 goals for setting up the goal, actually. One was to make sure it was non-repetitive, that it was not something that was covered in other goals. And that was very hard because a lot of our goals kind of overlap.
Yeah.
The second is I wanted to make sure that it was a specific goal to our committee, not really like something that we cannot deliver. And the third, kind of similar, is that I wanted to make sure it was truly achievable within our power so that we do have full accountability for that goal. So that's why I thought that the efficiency would really mainly result from the documents that, the reports that the town is going to be getting in '26, namely the decarbonization roadmap and the climate action plan. And I thought that maybe one goal would be to try to extract from those reports, if they are too abstract, extract from them something that's really achievable for the town in 2026. Like, you know, a bite that we can chew on with a specific deadline, and then recommend that to our committee so that we can monitor that specific progress. So those were the first 2 goals. The third one is energy coaching, so it kind of, again, overlaps on other goals, but particularly
Busy too.
goal number 5, because my goal was, I happen to be a member of our homeowners association, and I thought that it's a very easy group to target, because there may be less than a dozen of them in town, and they have the power to disseminate information to many households. So, you know, I thought that one goal might be to try to identify those HOA boards and reach out to them, you know, one of their members or their president, and tell them about home assessments. You know, I'm really shocked that less than a third of the homes in Orleans have been assessed in the last 10 years. That really a mind-boggling statistic. So very low-hanging fruits that we can reach out to.
when I also think about, and I know I asked about this earlier, about, so we have a green community
Yeah.
grant, you know,
Hmm.
if we should be lucky enough to be awarded that grant, that we continue to monitor
Yeah.
how that project moves along.
Yeah.
Because it's only until you complete projects can you ask for
For
funds
new
for the
money.
next one.
Absolutely right. Yeah, thank you, that's a good add.
Okay. 5, so 5, I got 5 late, so I will send you 5.
You did send it.
Did I send it?
Jackie said it.
Jackie sent
Oh,
it.
Jackie sent it.
Jackie
Send
sent
it to
it.
us
So,
directly.
yeah, so there's,
Sorry, you're right.
so she identified a ton of organizations in Orleans that I think have newsletters with the idea of trying to get content into those newsletters to promote everything from housing and energy costs to energy savings. So she called that step 1, opening the channels. Step 2, the message library, which, you know, features the energy navigators, mass save, other things like community solar, heat pump rate, EV charger incentives. the town of Orleans' participation in green communities. And all of that, like I said, is the message library, and so she calls them just draft ideas at this point. And is welcome to receive comments on it.
Well, I personally thought that it was, it was kind of throwing the net very wide. It's really a great effort to put it on paper once, for once, all of the possibilities to reach out to the community. I thought that perhaps one goal might be also to have a meeting with the town information manager so that they can refine some of these and help in getting the message even crisper and more focused. But I thought it was a great compilation as to who we could reach out to. It would be quite ambitious to reach out to everybody. And I think she has a less ambitious plan in the end, like if we reach out to 3 distribution rounds by 2026, then it would be a great goal.
Yeah, so I would agree. I mean, she's got the framework for it. I think it's just about biting off a piece and executing each quarter.
Yeah.
Can I, I'm gonna make maybe an inappropriate suggestion. There's the town, Amanda, as our town information officer, is doing a stellar job putting out specific newsletters for the business community, to the town manager's report, kind of activities. And in an ideal world, we would have a sustainable practices page or newsletter or something that, again, your status, you're the detail of how we've taken this value that we want to participate in a sustainable community, and how is that value played out? What are the signs of it to the public? So your campaign here could eventually be distilled down to something that's accessible to the public, both on your page, or maybe it's not your committee's page, but it's a instead of it being the communication being organized from the committee out, if we think about the user, the public, what does the public see? What's their interface? Well, I'm interested in sustainability in Orleans. What does that look like? If I search that, do I go down all these wormholes, or do I have a place where I've got the information from Energy Navigators, I've got progress on buildings, I understand the goals, or I can look at your committee page. That building yourselves and your work into the institution and fabric of the community, I think, is what that plan assumed but didn't say when I looked at it briefly. And I would like you guys to respect yourselves and your efforts enough to understand that you're the future of the community. So how do we express that back when somebody interacts with us, and what do they see and what resources do we provide? But I think the general heading is kind of the name of Energy and Climate Action has an even simpler heading, and you could make a recommendation about that as a public resource.
So we need to simplify our message into smaller bites that we can share with Amanda so that she puts it
No,
in.
I think, I'm sorry, your campaign is beautiful. I'm asking, what is the end up, rather than these ground up scatter pieces? In 5 years, where would you want to be with this campaign? What should have changed about how the town does communication because of these efforts? How do they go from this committee waving its arms in a tunnel to it's embedded as a value of the town, and what does that presentation look like?
I hear you saying, adding something that I at least haven't thought about. I mean, one is the material that we're trying to get out, work with Amanda about how to get that out and sort of have in mind what it's going to grow into. But you also said if someone wants to learn about sustainability or about solar panels or blah, 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 where do they look?
Right.
We want to have something.
It's like a door.
Right, no, we want
on
to
a
have
website.
something, so far we're focusing on how we get our message to somebody else. You're also saying we should add when someone's looking for something, we have it set up so they know to find it.
So the housing had a split like this. When we looked at housing in the town, we forgot to look at somebody trying to find housing. We only started to talk about the town's efforts to create housing. So I'm interested in that dynamic for you. In terms of resources, there are all these kind of tunnels or places to go. But what is the unified presentation? If the town value is, and it's in your goals, it's in the select board goals, it's the identifying these existential conversations about the town and making a way for the public to interact with them. And whether they want to know about,
Heat pumps.
or efficiency or the erosion at Kent's Point. Because you've got climate change and you've got our own homes and you've got how we're building and sustaining things, and certainly the emergencies around snow. I don't know if I mentioned, well, I haven't been here. The COA the Council on Aging had an issue where privately owned roads that were not plowed, resources couldn't get down there. So what's that about? Because climate change is going to keep either flooding or snow from going on. And people, not just emergency services, but if you need Meals on Wheels, if you're having oxygen delivered, it's sustainability for lots of different things, and climate change is part of it.
So it sounds like and tell me if this, your idea is to work with Amanda to create a unified repository on the town website that has information about all these topics, that we collaborate with the town. But I do like this idea because of informing people about that link through these different.
Links, that's right.
Yeah, so some people only, I'm in the Church of the Holy Spirit and I read their bulletin every week and we get a blurb in there and, I'm really committed to the Orleans Conservation Trust. And that's our entree, because people aren't going to say, gee, I think I'll go to the Town of Orleans website to see if there's information about climate. But if they get that prompt, and I know, for some of the other work that I do, these newsletters are terrific because they'll have 25 or 20 bullet points, and if somebody who's thinking about that is going to tune in and say, oh, and now you've got a link, and I can just click on this link and get right to the.
So all I'm saying is that the program that's being proposed, where this newsletter or these touches go out through the town, I think I saw mailing, e-blast, all that stuff. We can do that through Amanda. You don't have to do it as a committee. You do it as a town event. But also, a couple of times a year, maybe you formalize a newsletter about sustainability, or you work with Amanda to do that. Your work needs to be talked about as the town's work, right? And so my question is, as a committee, 5 years from now, how do you envision that would look so would you hit a page that would be called not the Energy and Climate Action Committee, but from the public trying to find out about what's here in town? How would you organize that entry point? So you know nothing about committee structures in town. Now you're thinking, what's the user-friendly way? Just to plant the seed of your longevity.
So it sounds to me like this goal 5 is more important than we might have thought, because
It's probably our most difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're taking the
but
bites.
yes.
It's a good plan. You're taking the bites. But I'm asking you to think long-term about it, that's all.
and it may entail some brainstorming as to, what are the real impacts of climate change that we don't necessarily see, so that we can share them with the public, and find a medium, long-term plan to get out of it or to mitigate it.
And then we had goal 7, Hakeem has that, and I just shared some information with him earlier today about I guess the planning department wanted to look at the downtown area in connection to town code.
Well, yeah, as far as goal 7, initially it was basically built around the update to the municipal vulnerability plan, but checking with the town planning group, it looks like the deadline is not as tight as we thought it would be, and it may not even need to be updated in 2026. We're still writing the old MVP, subject to changes from the planning manager. But that's the word that I heard from him, that this was not a pressing issue. The more pressing issue was to look into the downtown resilience plan that's being worked on, because the town just received a grant, actually, to cover that. And that group was looking for volunteers to join for a few meetings in order to try to, find the best ways to develop the resilience plan for downtown.
So that's being framed a little differently with the planning board.
Okay.
So this is a really cool initiative, because in the past, there was a group that the DPW and the planning board called together. They would get everybody in the same room, and it was when hardscape investments were gonna happen. So they'd vet the investments. Now we're looking at public spaces. It's the updated version of this, is when the town goes to invest in public spaces now, how are we gonna make those investments that bring together sustainable practices and the aesthetic values that keep the town attractive? It's both. And the linkage is like, gardens that are native species that may be rain gardens for drainage. The paving materials we use. Last night in another meeting, we were talking about pedestrian crosswalks maybe being used, painted differently or being done in different materials to highlight protection of pedestrians and multimodal. So now if we're going to really call out sharrows, or we're going to create different kind of paths from place to place, the materials, the investment, all that stuff, and the town needs the mindset of this committee present in those conversations. That's why that
So
came to you.
it almost sounds to me like the same way we're trying to push for any new municipal building to be energy efficient, make sure that any new project goes through the filter of resiliency.
And so public spaces, meaning if we've got a pocket park that's adjacent to something, or we're gonna rehab, and it came up with even the trees that we plant.
Yeah.
How do we invest in and replace the shade tree program? So it's a great opportunity, and I hope you will.
After the meeting, I'm gonna tell you why you remind me of Charles Darwin.
Because I look like a chimpanzee, right?
Okay.
That's off the record. So anyway, I was ready to volunteer for that project, if we agree it falls under adaptation. And those were the goals.
For the next, I'll move on to the next item, for the next committee meeting.
David's gonna.
David?
Yeah.
I did review the goal for tracking municipal solar projects. It was very straightforward, and I didn't think that it needed any changes.
Okay,
Which goal is that?
that would be goal for sheet 3, which was municipal,
Goal 3.
which is municipal renewable energy.
Well, David, except that it talks about the water treatment plant, wastewater, and DPW as, this is written a year ago. So it doesn't take into account the current status.
Well, they're being built as we speak, and we're supposed to be monitoring them.
Yeah, but this was written a year ago. It can be updated.
Okay, I just didn't see any wording changes that were needed, but I'll look at it again.
Okay. So moving on to the next meeting topics. So for under goal sheet 1, I'll try to bring a draft of what I think a municipal passive house construction policy might look like.
Ideally with examples.
Well, it won't be all of the, there's a lot of data that's gonna be collected on this, but this would be roughly what it might look like. And it will use as a starting point the Specialized Energy Code Track 3, which is passive house.
Well, I tell you, my main concern about that is that whether I'm an architect or I'm a building contractor, there's going to be a reluctance to change. Why change a winning horse? So we will need some form of convincing, and part of that convincing is going to be the cost-benefit ratio. If the guy, I give you a personal example, I just redid the siding in my home, I just say, hey, what a great opportunity now that they took the shingles out to add some insulation. And the incremental cost was so minimal. I mean, the contractor didn't even charge me more. So how can we find ways to illustrate based on examples, ideally local, that doing that doesn't really mean adding significant amounts to the cost, yet in the long run, it really brings tremendous benefits.
Yeah, so we'll have to have all that data to be able to, I mean, but this is just get your start point that says,
Yeah.
this is what it might look like. And it will likely undergo some changes, but yeah, we'll also have to gather all that data to say, well, what are the incremental costs? What are the estimated savings that comes from doing this? And you're gonna need I think you're gonna need some examples of municipal structures that were built to passive house standard, and what was it, what did we think the additional cost, what do we think the additional savings were, and that's gonna reach out to other communities.
Yeah.
Because, you're gonna have to find who's built a public library to passive house standard, what's their energy usage look like?
Or
what's
any
their
building,
EI.
or any municipal building, you know? Like our friends from Eastham or Truro, maybe, through the Navigators Group, maybe they have some examples, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, I think that this is not that common. I think there's examples out there, but I don't think it's all that common.
Maybe we need to ask our friend Dave.
Yeah.
I think he left.
He'd
for
be a
this.
resource, I'm
Be
sure.
upstairs, yeah.
Anyway, I see that as being one of the things, we need to come back on,
But David was citing that when he was leaning, talking to me a minute ago, he was going, there's passive house stuff all over Boston. So he would be happy, I'm sure, to share
Yeah,
Boston information.
okay. Does anybody else have other items that they think need to be
Well-
on next?
An update of the Energy Navigators issues.
Yep.
For the specialized code item on the agenda, is it worth thinking about a two-pronged thing? Identifying contractors who have done construction that's met those codes and how they did it, so that, if we need to have more research and more understanding, that, talk to people from the towns who have successfully passed that code through their town meetings, so that we know, rather than having to reinvent the wheel, let's talk to the people who've succeeded, in both, at every level, from the contractors, up to the town select boards, that said, yeah, we put this on our agenda and we got it passed, and here's what we did. So, I know we've had people come and speak to us, that may be, we might need 2 or 3 successive months of meetings to get kind of that range of, who succeeded, and have them talk to us.
We have done that with East End.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I'm new, so I don't know, maybe this has all been done.
well, I don't know that we necessarily did that. We definitely have, Truro is now a climate leader community, and I think they've got their first tranche of money through
Yeah.
that program, I believe.
Maybe they'll share their secrets.
well, ironically, the last time I tried to check personally, it was with the ECCCI that meets twice a year. And for the towns that already had the specialized code, they said they couldn't cite any example because it's so limited in scope.
Yeah.
That they hadn't seen any building yet that had to comply with that, because it has to be a new building.
Yeah, yeah,
So, maybe now there's more of a database.
yeah.
I have checked with them about a year ago whether they had anything that come through, and the answer was no. That had to be specialized.
One person that might be worth talking to is David Quinn from Hack. When I was in Maine, it was just, they aimed for passive house and they couldn't afford to do it. They were, but so, you might want to have, because the pushback, if we go back to town, is that it does cost more. It gets deferred over the life of the investment, but I think your pushback publicly is going to be from the construction industry, the real estate industry, and the public housing groups.
Yeah.
And so that may be who you want to be informed with success, who's doing it.
When you say public housing, you mean affordable housing?
Yeah, affordable housing.
Yeah, and I think that, when I looked at that, I was like, okay, this is the leap, this is the hard part of this. I think, from the municipal building standpoint, you do have to have the data, you have to be able to show that it makes more sense to do it. But, the
And the
approval on that is
communities
much
that are
smaller.
successful doing it, because they're out there, they're just not, may not be on the paper.
Good point.
Okay, so, how does that translate to a topic for our next meeting?
Well, I guess maybe identifying communities that have passed this code, and then, some, a representative of that community that'd be willing to come and speak to us, and also builders who have done new construction meeting this code, and, how it impacted the cost or the complexity, or the pushback from the customer. And, just come and talk to us and, say, yeah, I was able to do this and this is how I sold it to our, so at the town meeting, when one of the contractors says, I can't do this, we'll at least have some concrete data to say, well, Bill Johnson up in Truro has done it, and, what he said is the way it worked is that the impact was 2% or 3%, and it's anecdotal, but at least, anecdotes sometimes win the day.
You have two people in town actively, Belimus, the dad, who sits on planning board, campaigning against the adoption of the standard, and his son, who's in the firm now, who came to affordable housing and said why it couldn't be done. So you would be good at some point, once you talk to successes, to very quietly have coffee and with them, because you don't want to be in a public battle like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. David, can we get, can you give us like an update on how the fire station, rescue station process is going for that meeting?
Can't hear you.
David, you're on mute.
Funny you should ask, I finally was all set to attend a meeting with Molly. I spoke to her, and they have not had meetings. I think they might be having one Monday, but I'm not sure. When I talked to Molly Bates, no meetings were scheduled.
Okay.
So,
clearly they must have something within the next month, so
yeah.
why don't I put that on for next time?
I'm gonna listen to the minutes from the last meeting, which was probably a month ago, listen to the recording, and I'm gonna reach out to David Little and find out, when I could, interject myself in the energy discussion as soon as possible. But I did try to attend the meeting last week, and it did not occur. I had it on my calendar as having the first and the second Monday of every month, but for some reason, they just aren't meeting as often now.
Well, okay, so like I said, we'll throw it on the agenda for the next meeting, and if you can give us kind of where they are in the process and when you think that, you know, there'll be any discussions on energy that we might need to impact.
Yep.
David, do you know when the plans for the construction will be completed? When that window for making recommendations for energy efficiency will close?
No, they just chose the final architect 2 or 3 months ago, so they really just got engaged. So I still think they're dealing with issues of where it's gonna be and
Okay.
what it's gonna face and road access and all that. But it is never too early to ask. I don't know when the construction date is, the current projection is.
We have to get through town meeting, how to fund construction.
Oh, okay,
There's a $45 million right now placeholder on the warrant.
okay. So,
So will it make it to the next town meeting?
That's the plan is, there's a placeholder on the warrant, so that design has a reasonable number.
Right.
So
Okay.
there's a debate right now about whether that timeline's gonna work or not,
Yeah.
but we're aiming for it.
it's like 3 months from now?
Yeah,
But David, as you just said, it's never too early.
right.
Yeah, I mean, if they're gonna go to zero net energy or something like that, they're gonna have to incorporate that in the initial
Yeah.
design,
I would think.
which goes to the construction cost estimate,
Yes.
so. And, you know, we just don't wanna get into the position where they say, well, we've already scoped out the design, it's too late to go and incorporate, you know, zero net energy or something, so.
Right.
And I think, you know, so at the last town meeting, the citizens approved purchasing that tract of land to simplify location, and part of the sale was, this is gonna save us a lot of money. I think that, I remember the number of $10 million or $8 million was a significant savings.
And soft costs.
Yeah, I think it was even more, like 12 million or something, but.
So we've already put in the head of the town that this is gonna cost 45 million. So if that's a true savings, that gives us some money to play with to say, you know, maybe we can really work at net zero.
Yeah.
Why not?
It's not the way it's gonna work.
Yeah,
Well,
whatever you vote is what you vote.
Right.
45 million is what it costs to build the building. The 10 or 12 million dollars it's gonna cost, that they're saving is money that was gonna be needed for a temporary fire
Yeah.
station
Soft costs.
while it was being built.
Yeah.
I
So
think they're two.
That was still a budget outlay though, so that
Yeah.
you don't have.
But one of the debates is that the 45 million is that an accurate number? Because there were 60 million and 70 million was thrown around.
Yeah.
So we're not, but, I know, so, but to Andy's point, it'll be, the conversation is, keep it going, keep it
Yeah.
going.
Yeah, don't wait till the final plans are in
If
place.
when it goes to estimation and there's
Right.
no solar panels in the design,
And
we
it's-
will not have the money for solar panels.
No.
Right.
Okay. I was gonna talk meeting time and date. You know, the committee long-term has been on the second Thursday at 4:15. We've been here at this location. The Nauset room is currently tied up with the FinCom meeting on the same date.
At 5:30, right?
Yeah, so the discussion was whether it made sense to move this meeting to another time, to be able to move to the Nauset room. You know, we don't get huge turnout, so at this location does accommodate our needs, I think. The big concerns on time and date for me is just making sure that we have a time when we know that we have the committee available, so that we always have a quorum, or 99% of the time we'll have a quorum. But I'd like to get a sense of the committee as to other people thinking that it's more important to maybe relocate up to the Nauset room, or is this just gonna be fine?
I think it's gonna be fine. Is there any reason that we can't move the meeting to 4:30?
Well, we have to leave the room at what time? 6:15?
Yeah, we have another meeting starting here at 6:15, so we have to vacate for that. So we're locked in on, you know, we are scheduled in for this site for the remainder of this year. But it came up because I'd gotten asked, you know, what would you like to have differently? And I said, well, if we could go to the Nostrum, that would be great. That didn't seem to be how it turned out. And so the only way that we'd be able to do this was to maybe change the start time of this meeting, but it would likely go earlier.
Well, for us retired, it doesn't make much difference, but I guess for those that still work for a living, may be different.
Yeah. Is it still slated for March 12th? Is that we're still?
Yes.
Okay.
Still the second Thursday.
Yeah.
Maybe we just leave it as is.
Yeah, I could go earlier if it needs to be.
I can go earlier myself.
Yeah,
I can go earlier, I think Jackie's the one that is juggling her full-time
Mhm.
job.
Yeah.
you know, So, we should ask her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I said,
Is the purpose to go earlier to be able to get to Nauset?
That would be,
I mean,
I think that's kind of the rationale behind it, because we have this space, we're good here for a 2-hour meeting.
if that's the
and we're
only,
locked
if
in on
that's
this.
the only reason to change the date and/or time, doesn't, as you said, we've never been overcrowded in this room. So, if it's not broke,
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe we can stay here.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no reason not to stay here.
My sense is, I guess that we'll just table the discussion on that and
correct.
move on to the next. We have a vote to approve minutes for January 8th and for January 13th.
Does it have to be two separate motions, or can it be one motion?
Yeah, two separate.
This time I'll make the motion.
It can be one motion.
Can I make a motion to approve the minutes of both the January 8th and the January 13th meeting?
Do I have a second?
second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Yes, I just want to point out that the version, that the original version of the minutes that you sent out has had a few revisions. So what you sent out most recently is a revised version of
Yes.
the minutes. Not big changes,
Which one, the 8th or the 13th?
the 8th. Well, Andy can,
And I forgot to update the footer in the, so that the minutes were updated, but the footer was still not changed. So, did you see the updated version, Roger?
I,
Incorporated your changes?
yes, what's the footer?
Oh, okay, don't worry about it then. It's just the way I keep track of which version of the
V2.
minutes.
Version
Oh, the
2.
V2 you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But it's actually V3.
There's a V3, yeah. Oh, right. The file name says V3,
Yeah.
this says V2.
Correct, yeah.
Gotcha.
File name was like,
Okay.
So as revised.
Any other discussion? Okay, so we're ready to vote. We have one member who is on Zoom, so we'll start with you, David.
Approved.
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 John Londa, approved.
Hakeem Jana, approve?
approved? Approved. Great. I will note that all members voted, yeah. Yeah, there was a statement, it had nothing to do with the energy climate action, but there was a criticism about some of the minutes where they didn't record each individual vote. I think these are things more like on zoning variances and where they wanted to know exactly which member voted which
You
way.
don't have to do that.
And so I started to do that, but if it's not required, I'm gonna drop it.
It's only required, well, yeah, what they're looking for is negative votes.
Right.
But also it's regulatory committees. You're not a regulatory.
Okay, so.
Okay,
We can do it when it's unanimous.
that brings us to our last item, which is an
I move to
adjournment.
adjourn.
Do I have a
I
second?
second.
Second.
All those in favor?
5:59.
Aye.
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Aye.
David, aye.